We learn something new every day.
So today is Tuesday, May 27th at 4 o'clock. This is a tourism board meeting at the Sumner County Administration Building. Before we begin, I'd like to say that we do not have a quorum, but we will be able to discuss. We cannot vote. So I'd like to call to order the meeting and ask for, well, approval of the agenda. We can't vote on that. So, anybody want to make a call to approve it? We just can't really approve it. We don't have a quorum, so.
Should we just move to a director's report and discussion?
Director's report.
Well, how about new business?
What we'll do is, we don't have any public comments, so we'll get rid of that. New business, we can talk about stuff, but we can't vote on it. So we're not really voting on the agenda itself, but we can talk about the business and then have, if we need to have a special meeting, we can do that. Is that okay? So we'll move to new business. How about that?
All right. I just wanted, as you all know, there's a committee on the feasibility of the building and the future, where to go. So I think we'll wait till the next meeting to give a full breakdown of it, but there are some discrepancies between the three leases, inconsistencies between the three leases. Thing to know is that the lease, it's a lease between the county and Rogers Group, and we're subleased to the county. The primary lease expires October of 2027. So basically, also what was interesting is one of the documents that I had showed that there's a 60-day, you can, to either us give notice to leave or them give notice. It is 10 days on the primary lease. Basically 10 days for no reason, nothing, they can walk out of lease and you would have to leave the building. So the other thing, and Mark was very kind to, and I look at brief thing, I asked him to give some stats from the last couple of years on the, we call the occupancy, I guess, Mark, right? Is the cost of running the building.
The expenses.
Yeah, the expenses for the building. But one thing that jumped out is, and I briefly looked at it, one thing was tree and landscaping, $38,000 in the last 2.5 years, 2.5, 3 years. So you take that over, divide it out. So it is really going to a point of really analyzing where we should go. The other factor that really is worrisome to me, the original lease and sublease were signed in 2014. And the building was given as is, with the responsibility that everything is in good working order and maintenance free. Well, we're 10 years later. There's no way a roof. Yeah, there's no way a roof and a air conditioning, HVAC, and how.
Ooh, you all right?
Okay.
I'm fine, thank you. Took the corner real quick.
Can be in great working order 10 years later. So what was, when the lease was signed, was in goodwill, but 10 years later, it's something that has to be revisited with both the county and the county and and I reach out to Terry Boyd to see about, to talk to the county about the lease and sublease. So it's a lot more information. Other things stood out was insurance, which needs to be reviewed, because I don't know if we have a rider to the county or it's an individual policy, but they're required to have have insurance per their lease agreement, which means we're sublease, we would have a rider to their insurance policy. So we have to validate whether they do have insurance. It could be that we both are carrying the same amount of insurance and both paying. Could be, which is a waste of money on both parts. And all we would need is a rider theirs taking responsibility. So there are a number of things that more to come. Mark was kind enough to share some of the information, but I think the next meeting we can go deeper into it. And I will reach out to Terry Boyd to review the insurance aspects.
Okay.
So, and the other question I have, new business, did we have to get the budget approved, Mark?
No.
Okay.
They're not at the approval process at this point. We're in the budget, they took my numbers, but they're in red, which means it wasn't finalized. And we won't know that probably until late August, early September,
Okay.
right?
When's budget year
No,
start?
no, hopefully the budget will be brought before the commission in July, or June meeting,
Okay.
Yeah, because when does fiscal year start?
July 1st.
Yeah, but last year it was, I think it was September before we had a final approval.
We have, if we don't, we'll have to do a contingency budget to just keep going on with, pay the bills until we get a budget.
And we have a reserve fund to do that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was it, that was it for me.
Okay. Any other new business that we need to talk about? We'll move on to director's report.
Did you want to go back?
Well, we could go
and
back
vote
because we
now,
have a
or-
quorum
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
now that Baker's here, we have a quorum, so we need to go ahead and approve the agenda, as so noted. Do I have a motion to approve
I'll make
the
a
agenda?
motion.
And-
Second,
And I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. We're good to go.
And then attached to that are the minutes from Shannon for the last meeting, if you want to approve those. That's the next item in your packet.
Okay, see that on there. Any issues with the minutes? I've asked for approval on the minutes. I wasn't here, so I can't vouch for it.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So director's report.
All right. I've included in your packet the financials for fiscal year to date and compared to budget. I'll entertain any questions about that. Basically, we're looking very good financially. We're way under budget in expenses. We're on track with all of our revenues. By fiscal year end, it'll be more in sync, but we still will come out ahead for the year.
On the actual versus budget, is the budget the annual budget or is it a budget year to date?
That is the annual budget.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, concerns?
I want to thank Mark for make it more comparison
Yeah.
friendly.
And I'd like to thank QuickBooks for making it easy.
There you go.
Don't give away your secrets.
After those 5 pages, you will see the balance sheet for the year. Year to date, fiscal year to date, I should say. And then following that, you've got your occupancy tax report, the most recent one through April. We still are down year over year in occupancy tax. Again, as I discussed at the last meeting, that's not unexpected. All the counties surrounding Nashville are experiencing the same downturn. We've actually held our ground better than some of the other counties. And again, it's not something to be alarmed about because overall, tourism dollars in the county is considerably higher year over year. So if this were our only measurement, yes, it would be time to panic, but it's not. In fact, it's, as I mentioned before, this represents about 12% of the tourism pie. So it's really hard to take this and gauge how tourism is doing. And I want to make sure everybody understands that, not just in this room, but in the whole county.
Right.
So that is the soapbox that I've been running around on.
Yeah.
But
Do you know if it's ADR or is it occupancy that's,
it's occupancy. Demand is down.
okay. Is the ADR holding or do you know what the?
Yeah, the ADR has only dropped about 2 percentage points, as I recall. But the challenge is that, and I expressed this again last month, or 2 months ago, our hotels are all economy hotels.
Right.
And the economy segment is the hardest hit right now. If we had luxury hotels or high-end hotels, those are doing fine. So downtown Nashville's seeing growth. But all the surrounding counties that have hotels like us are feeling the downturn. Because people are staying closer to home and they're staying for less nights. And those are the people that just don't have the cash flow.
Yeah, to stay in less nights, do you have, and it's to see if you have access, I don't know if the access is length of stay. is the variance of length of stay last year versus this year?
There is, yeah, it is down slightly.
It is down
To
slightly,
match these
okay.
numbers, just
All
down,
right.
you know, we're down about 10 to 12%.
Okay.
So I'd say probably occupancy, we represent about 10% and ADR about 2%.
I guess the economic development plan hasn't worked.
Okay, moving on to the report.
I guess apartments don't build that.
We did complete our full staff. Zach staff. Stas. Jawohl. Zach has joined us as Director of Marketing. Zach has an amazingly strong background in social media, content creation, and event promotion. What I've been telling everybody is we've upgraded considerably over the last few months.
Good.
We have a very strong staff at this point.
Good.
I am thrilled. Talking about the Comer House, the tree removal has finally been completed. We'll see how long that lasts. We do have a weekly scheduled lawn service going throughout the season, and everything looks great right now. All the planters have been mulched and everything looks good. We're moving ahead with some bidding on roofing and drywall repair, some fascia repairs that we've been talking about since before I was here. Rogers has come over and looked at that, and they're gonna let us know how much they want to be involved or if they are at all. I don't know that they're gonna do much, but we have some very reasonable bids. The roof is actually fixed at this point, and we'll just see how cheaply we can do this and get it done.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
has to be.
I would, based on where we are with the lease, I would not do a roof, just quick fix to hold
That's
us
all it
over.
was patch, yeah. We're
patch.
talking about little
Yeah.
leaks down through the walls, that's all.
And kudos to you about getting Rogers Group involved, because based on lease agreement, they have no responsibility to anything.
Right, and they haven't committed to it either.
Yeah.
So, we'll
They
see.
probably won't.
But they are being very friendly and supportive, so we'll see how it goes. We have a new sign up as of today on the street. And it does have the old logo as before, but we've added a sign below it that says Visitors Welcome, trying to make it more of a visitor center appeal. And so check that next time you drive by.
I've seen it.
I
Yeah.
saw it yesterday.
And
Well, it's a
other-
new one today.
Yeah,
Oh,
today.
another one
Yes,
today?
that was a mistake that they made on the last one. If you noticed it, it said Sumner County, but it didn't say anything about tourism.
Oh,
It
okay.
just said Sumner County.
Uh-huh.
It was in color, it was hard to see.
Okay.
And the visitors welcome, they added in the little bar below, they added a logo to that again, so it was so small you couldn't read it. All of that was their mistake, and
Right.
at their
65.
expense, we fixed it.
Okay.
So,
Well, what was nice is you could see it.
Yes.
When you got the first one, that was a
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah. So anyhow, so now that the trees are blooming or the flowers are out, everything, we've been doing our filming with Huck Studios and starting our digital library. We did a couple days of lake filming, and there's some pictures here of that. It was very professional in what they did. We were very happy with the work they did. And
What part of the lake are you going to? Are you going to all different areas or just one particular?
well, we're staying to our side of the lake. We're not going on to the Davidson side, but we've done things. This was filmed at the Rudder,
Rudder, yeah.
and that was a day of activity there, both in and out of the restaurant.
What about Audaddies and all that?
And then the other day we did, we were out on the lake on a fishing boat. I wish I had footage to show you. And we did the kayaking and the paddleboarding. All of that on the lake and on the shore.
Because you have the Audaddies and you have, there's several boat dock areas, a lot of, out there
All
by
that is just
109.
opened up, right?
No, they opened up in like April.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been open for a while.
Okay. One of the reasons we didn't go there with the boating was for conserving fuel, because we had borrowed all the boats.
Oh,
Okay.
And so we stayed all in one area as close as we could be tightly around the kayaking and the paddleboarding and all that.
okay.
There's a lot that goes into the filming that I didn't
Well,
realize.
the only reason I say that is because they have a lot, yeah, I get it. They have a lot of stuff going on out there and they do a lot of, they rent boats and they have
Okay.
lots of people from all over.
Well, we'll make a note of that and see what we can add to with
Yeah.
that. Because in addition to what Huck is doing with his studio, we can do our own filming. We
Sure.
have the equipment, so.
To that, you now have Zach.
Yes.
And with social media, is there a way for him, once he gets settled, to try to reach out through social media to find people's, I mean, we have beautiful sunsets and mornings around here through that people, I've seen posted that are unbelievable from certain areas of Sumner County, and I think that has great visuals to put on certain areas,
Yeah, he.
especially the lake sunsets or lake sunrises.
Yeah, 2 points there. One, he is settled. He's
Okay.
running full speed.
Okay.
And second is, he actually had the idea of having some contests to solicit
Super.
some photography
Super,
like that.
that's great.
Yeah.
Free
Could stand
free
on that.
photography is good photography.
Yes,
The
it is.
administrative copyright, because
Yeah,
They have to give us permission.
there is
to
a
use it.
Yeah, release
professional
form.
photographer in town who complains a lot about people people using his stuff that he posts
yeah.
and not giving him credit, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing is, in my time here, I don't know, there was no history of all the digital photography, who had rights, what rights we had. The other day, Zach made sure everything we had in our library was literally ours, and we had rights to it.
Yeah.
And talked with the photographers here in town, and so we're all cleaned up on that too, and that was something that was never even considered before. So I'm really thrilled with what he's doing for us.
That's good.
Yeah. Moving on to finance, again, I recommend moving our accounts from Edmonton Bank, and I'd like to go to US Bank, who is a member of the collateral pool. They are currently offering a money market at 3.5%, which would produce between 10 and 20,000 in interest, depending on our balance over the year. And they also offer personal banking services that would actually alert us if there's opportunities to increase that rate. And it would be liquid, it would not be tied up, so it would be easily accessible, which was a concern of mine. You know, we don't want it where we can only pull out certain amounts. That rate would go down if the Fed lowered interest rates, but he felt like that would trickle very slowly to this type of account when I was talking to him. And to give you a reference point, Wilson Bank and Trust, who is also on the collateral pool, is currently offering a 4% for new accounts, but after 6 months that dropped down to 1.5. Whereas the 3.5 is permanent, or the flat rate in a sense. So before I can do that, we have to go through the whole process again, and vote on it, approved, and then the minutes approved at the next meeting before I can take this to the bank. So we're talking about 4 months down the road.
Yeah.
But it occurred to me in the middle of the night the other night that right now, we are not in a collateral pool institution.
So that could be something we could vote on tonight to move it and then
Start the process.
start the process. So,
Yeah, I think that the bank won't let me touch it until it's in approved minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we would make a motion to move it from Edmonton to US Bank. I make a motion, we do that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you can
Thank
start
you.
your process.
Great. On the issue of legal representation, we discussed our last meeting to find outside representation rather than working through county attorney. I've interviewed Walter Stubbs at the Stubbs Law Group here in Gallatin. He has experience in business law and real estate law. His rates are $3.50 an hour or $125 for a paralegal. I don't know if we'll ever need him, but he's there. Of all the attorneys I've talked to in town, he's the only one that really does business attorney work.
Yeah, he does.
All the others are divorce or injury
Real
or
estate.
whatever, so.
Does real estate too.
And
Yeah.
can I ask why we're looking to move away from the county attorney?
The county suggested it.
The attorney can't represent us.
I was told by a county commissioner that's not true.
We're quasi-governmental.
Yeah.
We're not, we are a subset of the county, but we're not part of the county.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
county attorney suggested, they said they don't mind helping us, but they would.
Because when I was researching a little, I could verify with going back to the county commissioner I spoke to, is that if it's built in the budget as a budget item of gratis work with a price to it, to us, as part of the budget, it can be done.
If we hired the county attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we could do that.
And it would be a budget item that they,
Yeah, the
instead of giving us $2,000, they would give us $2,000 worth of work.
The Resource Authority has always had a private attorney ever since they were established.
Yeah, and the county attorney recommended this based on the workload they're carrying.
Yeah.
They would prefer we not.
They don't work this
Yeah. So,
I can vouch for the Stubbs Law Group though. I've used them multiple times.
yeah, Again, I don't know, we have not had an occasion really to use them other than, employment contracts, that sort of thing, which I could do myself, to be honest with you, because
And that's just retainer work?
Yeah, there would not, I don't know what we would need them for, but if it came up, we have somebody we could go to, and he would just charge us based on the amount of hours, so.
How many hours do you know that we usually do in a given month?
Like I
year?
said, I've been here, 8 months now, and we've done 0,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And I really can't foresee, neither could he, says, I don't know what you would need, and I said, I don't either, but just in case. Just wanted to make sure we talked to him, so, yeah.
Do we need a motion to approve him as the
Probably with her.
on-call county? That's right. I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. For Tourism Week, we took the team out to the Welcome Center on I-65 near Portland and handed out goodie bags. And I wanted to show you a picture of our little table that we had there. It was nice. They commented on our, and I gave you each a copy of this, but the comment made there was, this really stood out. And if you've been to these
Yes.
Welcome Centers, it's wall-to-wall brochures.
Mhm.
They said ours stood out, 1, for the shape, and 2, that it actually contained information that was tourism-based, not economic development or Chamber of Commerce. And it really wanted people, to cause people to want to come here and do something fun instead of move here. I think we accomplished both, but that was quite a compliment to come from the staff out there.
Mhm.
The Historic Sites Collaborative, that we have taken the lead on. Some of the things we've done there, we've created a collaborative calendar for the site to add their events to. We've rebranded them with a new name and logo that we can use in advertising. We've planned and promoted their Historic Sites Kickoff for 2025. And that was a project that Kendall here took the lead on and did a great job with very short notice. We found out we were in charge of it about 2 days before it was due. So we've initiated a plan for holiday event coordinating for this year and marketing that. We are teaching them how to use social media to create events, do cross-posting between sites, and to get the sites on more platforms. And we're developing a trail of historic sites to promote, and we'll use this as one of the top 2 hooks in Sumner County. Now let me explain what that means. If we try and promote Sumner County, and I've explained this before, none of you have ever gone on vacation to a county. If people say, where'd you go on vacation? I went to Maricopa County in Arizona. No, it doesn't work that way. I went to Phoenix, or I went to the Grand Canyon, or I went to Orlando, I went to Disney. It's not even in Orlando, but we give Orlando credit. Our county is so diverse between farmland and the towns here and the historic sites. It's hard to just say, come to Sumner County. We need a hook that's going to grab people and bring them here. And once we have their attention, then we can spread the news about all the other things we offer. So the hook that we're offering is the historic sites with a new historic trail that we're going to promote the heck out of, and in addition to the lake that we have. Those are our 2 big draws. There's lots of other things. Once we have their attention again, then we will sell everything else that we have. But we're using those as our 2 big hooks, if that makes any sense. The Hidden History Passport is something that's done every year. We're part of that, and it started again this year. Because of the progress at the Comer Barn, they didn't want people going over there, but they wanted to include it in the in the passport. So we are the display for the Comer Barn, where people can come and look at the barn through our window. And we have a display of Comer paraphernalia throughout the rooms there that they can see some of the pictures from the house and the barn from years before. And it's really nice. So if you're interested in that, come by and take a look at it.
What is the plan for the Comer Barn?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
I mean, somebody must know, but we don't know.
Okay.
It's still being determined, I think. All right. Temple Theater Concert Series. My apologies to the theater. That should be spelled theater with an R-E in the heading there. We met with Sula Parasidis, who is an accomplished international opera singer, and her husband, and Norman, who is also an opera singer. I didn't know that at the time. and we actually got a free performance out of a couple songs out of them, using that gorgeous piano that they have in storage there. We are negotiating with her to put on a concert up there focused on the 250th birthday of the United States. Her thinking was to actually film a music video of the concert for their purposes, which would be an attraction for people to come, knowing that it's going to be filmed with a professional film group, and to include a choir of local students. So we thought we'd create like a music competition through the day up at the Temple Theater, where students, whether at college or high school level, that were in choirs or whatever, some type of competition where they could come participate, that would draw their families in, and then at the end of the event, that the day would be the concert. That'd be the free concert or whatever. The students would get in free, the parents would have to pay. And so we'd fill the place, probably also put it out on a live stream on Facebook. And anyhow, so there's some things being discussed there. It's kind of exciting. Amazing talent and really neat people. And the connection here is they actually lived in the county for a while. So it's not like they're just weird people from Europe. But, so it's kind of exciting. Moving on to agritourism. Kendall here's been working on a lot of farms. And there's a list there. You can see some of the farms we've worked with since our last meeting. And I'll come back to it, but I've got actually showed you a clip in here of a web page that Kendall and Zach developed for the Bottom View Farms that create a website for them. And the Welcome Center at the Comer building there, we're trying to, again, make it more of a visitor center. So I've started developing with AI and other digital resources a 12 to 15 minute video that will tell about the history of Sumner County, the lifestyle of Sumner County, and the industry of Sumner County. And that will be a film that we show there throughout the day when anybody comes in if they want to sit and watch a movie. And we also have been offered the cupola from the historic Comer Barn that you can see a picture of there, to add that to our collection. So we were going to create a display out in the front of the building with a little landscaping around it and some signage. So that's saved here in the county, and we have that. So some of the things we've been working on there when it comes to the Welcome Center thoughts. I've listed out some of the sponsorships that we've done during the last couple of months.
The bass fishing, was that in Hendersonville or is that in Cal?
I think it was Hendersonville, yes. We've done a bunch of bass fishing this year.
Well, and the only reason I ask is they did tournaments out of over by the bridge, which is called, it's in your district. You know what I'm talking about? The bridge.
The one that goes across the river to Wilson County?
Yep.
Yeah.
There-
109 Bridge.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I can't remember the name of that fish. That area is where they used to have
Oh, Flippers.
flippers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so.
That's where the dock is that we have to maintain.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
they're right there.
Flippers is not there, but the dock is there.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of kayakers come in behind my house, and especially on the weekend, there's a lot of kayaking behind my house.
Are you on the lake over there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have a kayak, so I'm right on the lake, so.
Awesome.
And I'm right around from the boat dock, because they
Okay.
come in that way.
Okay.
So that's why I say there's a lot of traffic coming
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have others that we have done since this list here that are just, they're popping up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them are for future events, we're just committing to it, but these are the ones that have actually taken place. The spa softball was a real hoot. I think I've got some pictures in here, I don't know if I did or not. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Some of the things we've been doing, we attended the Hendersonville Chamber State of the City Luncheon. Barry Young, former person in my capacity, is now the president and CEO of the Hendersonville Chamber of Commerce, in case you didn't know. So a good connection for us there. We also attended the Gallatin Area Chamber Luncheon with Mark Gazelle from the State Tourism Development. And he did a great job explaining how tourism is real money to the people there for Gallatin. And Baker was there and added some really very powerful comments to support the message, and I really appreciated that. And that's the message we're trying to take everywhere we
Right.
go. So thank you. A couple of the questions that he was asked, kind of weird questions to ask him, but nevertheless they were asked, were about hotel development and agritourism. And it was exciting for me to at least quietly in my head go, well, we're working on both of those pretty aggressively. So I think we're on track, at least with what the public wants. On May 1st, I presented our budget to the county budget committee. They were concerned about the transit occupancy tax. I presented the same information to them that I did to you in our last meeting, and I also presented the budget that was approved by this group. I did request $22,000 in non-recurring expense for repairs of the Comer House. We'll see what happens with that. If we get it, we don't, I don't know. Paradise is a new facility. If you're familiar with the home that was Leon Russell's recording studio outside of Gallatin, I guess is what you call that area. Chris Entris, who owns a couple properties in the area, has developed that into a event center and Airbnb. And it's really nice. It's really something else, actually. And I'm also talking to Chris about the possibility of another resort site in Gallatin that she owns, apparently up along the river, up on the lake, up in one of the fingers of the lake up there that she has. So that's been a topic throughout all of our meetings lately. We were on Channel 2 News discussing our Johnny Cash tour. I don't know if any of you got to see that. We brought in Debbie Horton, who is the only female performer to play with Johnny Cash, and she got interviewed in the back of our property there at the Comer House. And then we walked over to the cemetery, and there's clips here if you got this in your email, you can click on those links and you can see the two of us becoming famous. And but it was actually good because it was Sumner County Tourism was mentioned, and it was just really good to have that. And we now have a good connection with Channel 2 News as a result, so that's good. Because her name's Kendall too. So we have the two Kendalls of the county. Eagle Rock Tours came through with a bus tour. We had a dinner for them at the Comer House. Adam Pope and his wife performed for that. There's a picture there. Then on April 10th, Kendall led a bus tour on the Johnny Cash tour, and which was much more interesting than they used to be because we had a lot more information from Debbie Horton. Because Debbie actually had been at Johnny Cash's house several times and knew the family well, and told us some more interesting inside stories that we never had before. So we've jazzed up our tour. On April 2nd, I spoke to Forward Sumner's Board of Directors at their meeting, and the topic was the impact of tourism on Sumner County. It went really well. There was a lot of interest. They've asked me to make it an annual event. A lot of ideas came out of that meeting. One is a gentleman that owns a multi-state railroad. I'm working on getting some railroad track for the tunnel for Westmoreland. So that's going to be a nice addition there. And a lot of things, discussions about hotel properties. That's the next bullet point here. And a lot of discussion about a county fair. A lot of people are asking about a county fair. We are thinking about that down the road. Obviously, we have to have a place to do it.
Why did that fair ever stop here? in
You're
Sumner
asking the
County?
wrong
They
guy.
sold the property.
It was privately owned.
They sold it.
Okay.
It was, and so when COVID came along, it kind of killed the fair. And so they basically, for a couple of years, just did it with rides.
Yes.
And now the property's for sale. One portion has been sold already, and the other portion is still for sale.
Do you know how big the other portion is? Roundabout?
I should, but I don't. 7 acres maybe, thinking.
How much?
The area that is still available for sale is the area of the fairgrounds area.
Right.
The part that was sold is across the street,
The parking.
the parking lot area. The fairgrounds area, somebody offered to purchase that. I'm a stockholder, so my family's stockholders. So somebody offered to purchase it, but he went to the city and found he couldn't do what he wanted to do because it's in a floodplain. So in order for somebody to use it, they're gonna have to bring in a lot of fill dirt and do some redevelopment of the land. if they're gonna put something on it other than like a parking lot. Now, if they're gonna build like something at one end that's high enough and use the other end as a parking lot, that would probably work, but it's gonna be difficult for somebody to utilize that, so.
I'd love to see a fair in our own county.
Well, I have a meeting next Monday with the mayor of Gallatin, and we are discussing potential sites for that.
We don't get, in some states, the counties get money from the state to put, Department of Agriculture, to put on, to subsidize their fairs. Tennessee does not do that, so, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Unless we can get a legislature to pass a grant.
I think it just did, just recently, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because you're on the board of the Macon County Fair, so you know
I
this.
could be mistaken.
One idea, and mind you, this is just an idea, but I want the board to be full disclosure, is we've thought about the idea of taking our Irish festival and making it really big this coming year, as you know, and maybe having that evolve over a period of 2 or 3 years into the county fair. So, yeah, but we are working hot and heavy on it right now for this coming year, so it's gonna be an event.
I know a family of about 6 people who left on Aer Lingus Monday
Yeah?
to go to Ireland. Yeah.
Sweet.
So they're picking up
Yeah.
business here.
On May 13th, I met with a group of property owners and economic development from Hendersonville to discuss a large convention hotel project. And I'm driving that project, as you've heard several times, and I've created some initial feasibility studies and market analysis to attract the investors. We have identified a location. We have got consensus, I should say, with city officials. Now we are moving forward on zoning approvals. And if everything goes according to plan, that will happen and could be completed by the end of next year.
Cool.
Yeah. And we're talking about a 400-room convention center hotel. So
Where would it be?
I can't tell you that. It's what
It's
they.
not downtown Gallatin, is it?
No, this is in
Because
Hendersonville.
they don't want the price to skyrocket when somebody finds out that
Yeah.
that's what's going to be
This is
there.
what's called a code name
Right,
project.
right.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
Is this property that's for sale or for lease? It's been there for a while now?
I doubt anybody knows where this is,
Okay.
but it would be really good for the city. And that's why everybody is all on board. And there were representatives from the city and from the property owner that owns the property and developers and so forth. So it could happen very quickly.
With travel.
And I'm having a meeting just like that on Monday with Gallatin's team. So hopefully to develop another property. I threw some statistics that I found here, just the projections on Nashville tourism. So you know that it's not going to slow down anytime soon. They are projecting continued growth at least through 2028 at this point. And based on the development of hotels in that area, I'd say that's probably true. I gave you a picture here of the Possum Hunters album is in pre-release order. You can order right now for that album or a poster. And this is the album that we help sponsor and are promoting. Again, the reason for that is not just fun, but it's putting Sumner County on the music map. We're working on getting a music marker to honor the band, the Possum Hunters, and Dr. Bate out at Castilian Springs. And there's a lot going on there. So please go in and order your album. It's worth it. I have a picture there of the Spa Women's Tournament in Hendersonville. We went out and made a video, and the picture here is the 80-year-old classification. They're out there playing. These ladies, I mean, they're in knee braces and compression socks and running the bases, and it's just, it's awesome. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with old people.
Nothing wrong with old people. They were the neatest people.
I know
We had
a
a
lot
blast.
Look in the mirror every day.
The next page is a landing page that Kendall and Zach developed for Bottom View Farm, just to give you an idea of something. It's probably hard to read here, but if you go online now, what is the website? Do you remember? bottomviewtn.com. Highly recommend you go check it out. But now they are published online, and we're not going to be an online, what's the right word? We're not going to be the computer company, the developers and the hosts of all this stuff. but we want to get them started. That's our goal.
We've been around a long time.
Yeah. Alright. And then at your request, I attached the Phillips distribution list. This is only about half of the distribution. This is what we pay Phillips to do. We have another list, which I didn't have here, I should have brought it, that we develop, that we distribute ourselves. And it's almost as long. And then.
And are these what they're distributing?
Yes.
Okay. So do they develop these?
No, we do it. This
Okay.
is all us.
Okay. So I got a question, is with the hotels in the back, there are like 12 hotels,
Uh-huh.
and none out of Gallatin and Hendersonville.
Are you aware of some outside of Gallatin? and
Goodlettsville?
Those are all on the Davidson side.
I'm sorry, they're all on.
They're all on the Davidson side.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yes.
I'm not from here,
Right,
so
yeah.
when I
If
think
it's
of
only-
Goodlettsville, I think of Goodlettsville.
Right. if
Half
it's
of
on-
it's in
Davidson,
Davidson,
half
half,
is-
yeah.
Yeah, if it's on the other side of the creek, it's theirs.
All right, so.
Yeah,
That's
stuff, most of the stuff in Sumner County is the school and housing and a park.
And a park, yeah.
Okay. All
Portland
right.
has, oh, you did.
Yeah, the Deerfield Inn is important.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
listed.
That's why when you mentioned there's no hotel development, I'm going, okay. When you get off on the exit there, it's, in Goodlettsville there is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because it's not in,
Yeah,
Davidson.
but even those are all pretty much that economy, mid-scale.
yeah, oh, of course,
No one up here has this upper end stuff, and that's why
Yeah.
we're trying to build it.
yeah.
You know, we missed the boat as a county. My goal was really to bring in like a Wolf Lodge, which is the indoor water park,
Mhm. Yeah.
huge
That'd be cool.
operations. Unfortunately, Jackson, Tennessee nabbed it, and they are starting construction. If about 3 years ago, if somebody had thought about it, we probably could have gotten it, because this is a perfect location for one of those. But they won't build one that close again, so. Last page is just the summary page from the article for your reference, the executive pulse of what's been going on during the last 2 months. A lot of data there, I could spend all day explaining it, but feel free to dig through it, and at any point you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And that is my report.
Okay.
Super stuff.
Anybody have any questions? If not, we have one more thing to do. German,
Oh,
right? That's
The
it.
meeting is July 22nd. Now, do we want to have a special meeting to approve the minutes from this meeting so that we can
Move on the,
move on that a little bit faster?
I-
On the money transfer?
I don't have a, I don't know if this is appropriate form or not, but how do we get a list of, because we have trouble getting a quorum. How do we get a list of who's expiring on the board and, because the one that's online
it's.
has people
no.
that haven't been here for a couple
Yeah,
years.
that's supposed to be updated.
Shannon and Deborah out of town, I guess?
Yeah, they're out of, I don't, Deborah's out of town, I don't know where Shannon is, I know David said he wasn't gonna be here. Isabel doesn't come.
Shannon is out of town as well. Her husband decided to take her on vacation. She had no choice.
Yeah. Not starting Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's hard to
I
get.
think it's hard to have a meeting
But,
right after the.
but there are
holiday.
people that are supposed to step down off the committee and a meeting will come
September.
on.
Whose terms expire?
Yeah, in terms of, is there a list of,
There-
Well, the
there-
commissioners don't. The ones who are appointed will, some, like one or two will expire in September,
Yeah.
I expire in
David's-
September.
David expired.
and David's expires in September.
okay,
That's what he
and
said.
is there a limit to the people on the board?
Yeah, it's in the bylaws.
Yeah, it's-
There's a limit to the
What's on
number, who the people are and how they get on the board.
Okay,
For example, where there's one seat that's reserved for Chambers of Commerce.
Mhm.
And when they started it, when it was put in reverse alphabetical order. So it was White House and then Westmoreland. Next would be, I guess, Portland and then.
okay, yeah, 4 members from citizens, 4 members from county commissioners, 1 member city chamber of commerce, and the county mayor will serve as a non-voting.
Makes
Yeah,
10 members.
yeah. Term of office.
John's brother died.
2 years.
Oh,
Okay. Vacancy of the board.
Well, it, you know, it's, I find it really hard to have a meeting right after a major holiday. Just saying. people go on vacation, they take a long week, you know. If this meeting wasn't today, I would have been like gone.
Well, we had a postponement, was it January, Mark? That we had to delay it, or
Yeah,
December?
there was one.
Yeah, one of them, so this is 2 in the last 6 months, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Not that I have a lot to do, but.
Like a year and a half ago, we went like 5 meetings without a quorum.
Yeah.
It's actually not a lot.
That- That's more to my
Much
point.
better.
Well, that's more to my point.
Well, and part of that was the committee on committees had not appointed
Yeah. it
some
was-
people, so.
Yeah, and they have to go on the.
Has to go through the committee on
list.
committees to be
And
appointed, so.
then the people, like you were appointed by committee on committee, okay?
Right.
And then that goes to commission, and then they vote on it, so that's how it works.
Okay.
And the
So-
committee on committees has not met often. They've
We
had
met-
lots of times without a quorum.
Well, we had, I know the one December, I wasn't there, I don't know who else wasn't there, but I was really sick. And then November, I think, we didn't have anybody on there, I don't know. I just know that, I know.
But during the
one-
summer, it's hard to get a quorum for any committee.
Yeah, it really is.
A lot of times, county commission committees will
I mean,
not
we have
meet.
commissioners that haven't come to meetings in months, because they're working. Just saying. Anyway, so we're adjourning?
Yes.
Move to
I'll
adjourn.
second it.
Okay, let's adjourn. Can you check that green button and click off?